Namaste, dear children. This is the first event of this academic year, a very, very important event for all of you. It's been my dream that an awareness program should be conducted about civil services. There are a lot of myths surrounding around civil services. Whenever we interview the students as to what they want to do, all that we hear is they want to do civil services. But few years later, when we contact them, they are kind of lost in the crowd. The reason is many do not have a clarity about what civil services is all about. There are a lot of myths surrounding around it. And the kind of work that these officers do, dedicated themselves for the country, is phenomenal. That's one of the reasons why every student aspires to take up civil services. The kind of work that they do, the kind of recognition they get, the contribution that happens, everything is an inspiration. So I am extremely glad and happy that today we have with us Rajasheela Rajendran, former student of our school. However, a few points about Rajasheela. Rajasheela Rajarajan is IRS, now with Customs and GST. She passed out of civil services in the year 2013. She cleared the TNPSC Group 1 and was serving as DSP for 2 years. Mind you, she was 21 years when she took over as DSP, 21, 22 years. Now, presently, she is working as Deputy Commissioner of GST in Chennai. She passed out of SME the year 2003. Though she had taken biology group in her higher secondary, since she was aspiring to do civil services, she took MA History in her graduation and post-graduation level. Followed by that, she also did PG Diploma in IPR. IPR stands for Intellectual Property Rights. Currently, as if her hands are not full, she's doing her LLB and also post-graduation diploma in finance and taxation. She's married to Mr. Kaleshelvan. He's also an IPS, presently Superintendent of Police in Dharmapuri district. And you would probably be seeing a small kid around her. It is her son, 4-year-old son. I'm very happy that her son is also with us today. She had been the Assistant Commissioner of Central Exercise for 2 years, manned Chennai Port and Air Cargo for 3 years, and held many interesting portfolios like cargo handling, intelligence and investigation, anti-smuggling, etc. After implementation of GST, presently she's the Deputy Commissioner of GST. These are few words about Rajasheela Rajendran. I'm extremely glad that she has joined us today to share few thoughts about civil services, myth around it, how to crack it. Some last year, when we had the first Silver Jubilee celebrations on 12th of June, it was a virtual celebration, and Rajasheela was one of the alumni to participate. And during that point in time when we were interacting, she said civil services does not call for smart people, but hardworking people. That was definitely a very impactful statement coming from a person who has cracked the civil services, because I know Rajasheela as a smart person and also a hard person, very, very hardworking student. She joined our school in class 7. And when she was interviewed by our correspondent as to what she wants to become, she said, I want to do civil services. And that was the clarity she had when she sought admission in our school. I'm very, very happy that at a very, very young age, she has scaled up dizzy heights. My prayers and best wishes that she should go further in her ranks and make the entire crowd, entire country proud about her work. Now let's hear from the horse's mouth. Rajasheela, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Very good morning. Very good morning to all the teachers who have joined us. I can see Sita ma'am and our principal, and rest of them I'm not able to see here due to that view thing. And a very good morning to all the aspirants of civil services, because compared to last time, I remember, I mean, I have come once to our school for our Independence Day celebration also. So compared to our, I mean, last time we had the entire lot of students where, not all of them were aware of what they are going to. I mean, the children were very, small for them to be, told about civil services, cracking it, or what exactly it is and all. But this time I'm happy the lot is actually much informed a lot compared to this thing. And this is the right age, right time for you to become aware of civil services. I will keep it bilingual. And a disclaimer, I don't want to speak for 1 hour. So what I'll do, I will speak for about 10, 15 minutes, just give you the basics. I'm not going to talk, too much in length about what this exam is and all that. I will give you a basic introduction, and I want the children themselves to come and ask questions so that it will be easier for me to clarify your doubts or come up to your level and then explain things better for your better understanding. So starting about civil services. See, as we all know, India is the second populous country, and we're going to soon cross China in our population. And this is the biggest exam uh, in the entire planet, I would say, because, about 10 lakh to 15 lakh people apply for this exam. And UPSC is one of the biggest public service commission, as we all know. And UPSC conducts not just civil services examination, but also other examinations. But the biggest one, the entire annual event, is civil services too. What exactly is civil services? What exactly is civil services? See, when we call about services for people, it is one side, it is uniformed services, second is the civil services. Uniformed services, we mean the army and the other armed forces, the paramilitary forces. The other side, you have civil services. Basically, the civil servants are one who directly go and serve to the civilians directly. They will be able to interact with the public and use their power in the right way to help the public better, and that give you a better job satisfaction compared to any other work, I would say. I proudly claim that it gives you a better job satisfaction. And UPSC has about 24 services up to date. Okay, so 24 services, you mean all of us know only IAS, IPS, IFS, Indian Foreign Service, and there's one more Forest Service. And to an extent, you know about income tax and customs and central excise. But apart from that, we still have about 24 services, which includes Indian Defense Account Service, Indian Civil Account Service, Indian Railway Account Service, Railway Traffic Service. So many services, Railway Management Service. And now they have been clubbed and named as Railway Management Service. There are so many, about 26 services. Whichever service you're landing in, I would say your future is assured, your job security is assured, and your job satisfaction is assured. The day you get retired and go back to home, you will not say like, I can count and say how many people I have helped. Every day that is passing by, you would be definitely helping at least one passerby in your office. That will give you a better satisfaction compared to any other place. Sitting inside a closed enclosure inside the four walls and working in your computer doesn't give you that much the pleasure that gives. You would have helped a small thing. It would have been a very small thing, but then the satisfaction it gives you, it will make your day. Definitely make your day. And coming back to civil services, it is like most acclaimed and most sought after examination as such. About not to frighten you people, but about 10 lakh people apply. 7 to 8 lakhs, 10 lakh people apply. It differs from year to year, and about at least 2 to 3 or 4 lakh people attempt the prelims. Okay, and out of which only about 20 to 30 times of the vacancy will be allowed to appear for mains, which is about 30,000 maximum. Okay, compared to 10 lakh and 30,000. And from that 30,000, only about 2.5 to 3,000 people go for personality test. So your percentage is less than 1. The people who crack is actually less than 1% or less than 0.5%, like compared to how many have applied, how many have appeared, and how many have gotten selected. But then, as Madam told, it is not about, the intelligence that has come from within, or you are born intelligent, or, you've been always been aware about civil service, right from your LKG, you are so aware about quiz and, general knowledge, nothing of that sort. Smart work matters. Dedication matters, sincerity matters. And I would say +1, your 11th grade is the right age for you to start civil services, start knowing about civil services, start your actual offline preparation, I would call, like not the exact, full steam preparation, but then you can start your offline preparation, your, the building up the basics right from this age. And now, what do you need to become a civil servant? Like what you have to study? Nothing. From a UGC approved university, you just need one degree, one proper degree. And it doesn't matter if you get a gold medal, or it doesn't matter you've just passed the degree, but then you need to hold a degree from a recognized university from UGC. Why I tell you it doesn't matter, the mark doesn't matter. It's not actually about mark. It's actually about knowing things around you, knowing your country, knowing the society, knowing your law. That much is what is tested there. And your quick wit and your, being, able to empathize with people, being able to, understand people's problem is more important than, how much mark you've scored in your 10th standard or your 12th standard. Doesn't matter at all. Okay. Now, what exactly is the exam? The exam has 3 stages. I'm keeping it very basic. I'm giving you very simple things. And if you have further doubts, you can ask me. So exam has 3 stages. One is your preliminary examination, which will be multiple choice questions, but with negative markings, which means every question you attempt has a possibility of seeking you 1 mark, or also has a possibility of dragging you down by 1/3 of a mark. Okay, 1/3 or half of the mark, depending on the pattern. So every wrong question that you attempt will pull you down. Like 2 wrong questions will actually pull you down by 1 mark compared to the 1 mark that you get. So you should be very smarter in preparing for prelims. It is not just like any other multiple choice question, like you just keep ticking, tukka, anything happens, like, inky, pinky, ponky, nothing of that sort. Okay, you will have to know the answer to attempt. And smarter people attempt only 70 to 75% of the questions. Nobody attempts 100 questions of 100. Okay, 70 to 75% of the questions which you are sure about the answer, you attempt. That is what is about civil service. I mean, prelims. Prelims has 2 papers. One is in the morning you might have your GS, and second part will be the CSAT. That is civil services aptitude test. There they test your basic language skills, basic mathematical ability, basic analytical ability. Okay, not like, you're studying aptitude for your IIT or IIM or JEE, NEET, nothing of that sort. This is basic level of English and basic level of your +2 level English, basically, and +2 level analytical ability, your quantitative aptitude, and not much of maths, but understanding the use of maths and science in your basic, life. And general studies. What is general studies? General studies, all around you, whatever you see is general studies. Application science, like everyday, whatever you see in science. For example, during my prelims, the past 2-3 months, people have started printing on this Lay's and Kurkure and everything as 0% trans fat. We just ignore, open the packet, eat it, throw it, and go. At the maximum, if you're very responsible, throw it inside the dustbin and go. But nobody will bother what exactly is a trans fat. There was a question about why exactly there is a 0% trans fat. What does that exactly mean? No cholesterol, no fat content utilized at all, or what exactly is your trans fat? The options are like that. Okay, you ignore and go basically, but you should be aware. And there was one question about Formula 1. Like, and I think that was the year for the first time Formula 1 happened in Delhi. Okay, Formula 1 car racing. So what you will study, we were very, that anxious people. We read about, who is best in Formula 1, Michael Schumacher, this fellow, that fellow, and then in the world, what is Formula 1, how much this, that, and all. The question was very simple. There are 4 flags that are shown in a Formula 1 race. What does each flag mean? You don't get into that basics of a Formula 1 race. So it is all about knowing the basics, not, getting complicated into things. It is not about who wins tennis, who wins the present match. but it is about what exactly is a Grand Slam. What is the difference between a Wimbledon and your French Open? One is a clay court, one is the other court. Like, US Open is a grass court and all that. Your total basics. In a football, what is exactly is a yellow card? What is a red card? That much, basics. So that much and all, you can just read your newspapers right from now and then get aware about things around. Application things around you, whatever you see, start questioning. See, what is our mistake? Up to 5 to 6 years, we will be totally inquisitive. You would have heard parents telling, கேள்வி கேட்டுக்கிட்டே இருக்கிறான், நான் பதில் சொல்லவே முடியல. But then from your 6, 7 years, when you start going to school, we start sticking on to our textbook alone. Our ability to question comes down. Or not about ability, but our your interest in questioning people will come down. Am I audible?
Yes, very much. Yes, very much.
So our interest in questioning, our the கேள்வி கேட்கறதே நம்ம வந்து மறந்துடுவோம். That is what is actually important. Around you, start asking questions. That is one of the basic things I wanted to tell you by the flow. Second part of the exam is once you crack the civil services, and the second paper of prelims is a qualifying paper of late. Like in the last 3-4 years, it is just a qualifying paper. You don't need much marks in that. And the second part of it is mains. In the main examination is actually your ability to understand things is tested again. And it is not about good handwriting, a great presentation, or memorizing things and writing from A to Z, nothing of that sort. When a question is thrown to you, I will tell you, I'll promise and tell you, 50% of the time you won't know what the question is. Simply you won't know. It's like, how do you manage writing an answer when you see that question? The question will be one long paragraph. By the time you finish reading the question, you will finish the end. You will forget the entire history that you know. But then you are having only 6 minutes, 100-word answer. So if you're asked about 200-word answer, you have just 12 minutes. Within the 12 minutes, you read the question, understand the question, try to form an answer inside your head, do some brainstorming, write it in the proper way. So how do you basically problem management, problem solving? How do you actually manage? It's not like your max, A plus B whole squared is this only. No, it's actually about you constructing an answer, trying to solve that problem in the name of a question put before you. So that is mains. Mains has 9 papers, 2 language papers. One is your English, and one optional language. You have about 30 language for you to choose as your second option. You can write Hindi, you can write Tamil, or you can write Urdu, or whatever optional language that you choose. So these 2 languages are just qualifying papers. Again, these 2 are not computed for your final marks that are taken for your selection. And you have a third paper called essay. Essay, again, during our times, the thing was we'll be given only 4 questions, out of which we have to choose only one, and we have to write an essay for 3 hours. Basically, 3 hours time is given for an essay, and you're not given any clue about how many papers you have to write, whether you will have to write 30 pages or you'll have to write 12 pages or whatever. So essay paper is actually trying to show your outlook about an issue. Supposing for me, working women or, housewife, whichever is a boon or bane, and that was the question. So when you write, how much is your thought process about that particular subject is actually measured in essay. See, in all the 3 stages of examination, your various kind of ability is tested. So essay paper actually tests your outlook about issues, social issues, like female infanticide, or like your COVID-19, the disaster management, and all those pertinent topics of that particular year would come, and some common topics too. And that how much you're aware about it, and how much if you're thrown, if you're asked to speak about it, or if you're asked to write about it, how would you be able to manage it? That much is what is tested in an essay. And essay is one tricky thing where they also test your reading knowledge, how much you read. Because the more you read, you would be able to put some quote somebody, okay, quote some leaders, quote some news that you have seen, It is not required. There is no set pattern or set, rules for writing an essay. But then when you quote something or when you are able to point out something with validating proofs, your answer is much enriched. Okay. And you don't need, a big vocabulary. You don't need to be, a hi-fi English person and all that. Simple sentences, clear sentences without grammatical mistakes is enough. Okay. It is not that, you need to be too good in English and all. No, I know people who can just write small sentences, but still have cracked UPSC by coming within 100 words. Small sentences, not more than 10 words also, people are able to crack. It is not about exactly your language ability. It is just a language. It is not your general knowledge. Okay. And you have 3 general studies paper. During my time, there were 2 general studies paper and 2 optionals. Now the pattern is different. You have 3 general studies paper. What exactly is general studies? Everything under the sky is general studies. Okay. So it is not that you have to read only this book or that book and all that. But then there can be streamlining also. What happens? You pick the, most exhaustive books in a particular subject. For example, if you call Indian polity is about knowing your society, knowing your constitution, knowing the basic laws around you. See, all that we know, seeing the cinemas, another thing is IPC. Okay, Indian Penal Code is one law that you will all know. EPCO, Munafirenda, that much is more, people are aware. But then IPC is also, it's a penal law, but then our constitution is the law of the land. Okay, it is very much pertinent, very much important for our people, for our students to know what exactly is our constitution, how much powers this constitution is has given to the citizens. Okay, it is given as enormous powers. It is given as rights. It is given as duties. And it is actually enumerating every constitutional authority. You call a prime minister, a president, or a civil servant, whatsoever, like from the topmost bosses to the last person in civil services, everything is there. Who is what is the work, thing is the constitution. And we all derive our power. Civil services, all of us derive our powers from the constitution only. It is very important that we people know what exactly is the constitution, how many articles are there, what are our rights. Recently you people would have, if few of you are reading newspaper, you would have been hearing about this Ondriya Arasu, Madhya Arasu conflict also, like whether it is Ondriya Arasu or Madhya Arasu. Ours is not a unitary government. Ours is a union of state. Okay, it is actually union of states only. So Ondriya Arasu is better. Just like you call United States of America, though it's a different setup, but then we are also clubbing a part, a group of so many states who have their own governing powers. So like that, knowing your constitution is more important. During that debate, why I quoted this debate is, during that debate only people started talking the article, right? First article in the constitution says India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. Simple. It's not a federal state. It's not a central government. Unitary government. It is actually a union of state. So that much awareness. I'm not being too elaborate about things. I'm just saying it for a layman understanding. If I have to explain, we'll have to explain it in detail. But then why I told is, when you read newspaper, then you will know things better. So this constitution is more important. When you call constitution Indian polity, Lakshmikant is the best book that you can read. We even colloquially say it's the Bible of polity. So like that for all the subjects, like your economics, history, geography, and then don't panic. If I say I'm a biomax student, how will I know economics? No, it's all basic. It's very basic. It's all school level only. Only thing, during our school, we would have read things and written it only for exam and mark basis, rather than understanding the nuances of that particular thing. And when you read about Chandragupta, when you read about your Alexander or your later Gori, Ghazni and all, you would have just read it as answer for questions, and then you would have reproduced it on your paper, gotten marks, topped the classes, no problem. But then I would say when I went to college, all through 6th standard to 10th standard, we would have read history. Mangyar Karsi ma'am was our history ma'am, and no better teacher you can find for history, I would say. But then That was the time we read for exam, prepare, and then write it and finish it. Forget about it. 10th standard, you forget about history. When you get back to college, I went to college, sat on the first day. When people started talking about Indian history, it was all Greek and Latin. Basics only, but it was all Greek and Latin. Why? Because we don't most often read things and understand things for the sake of gaining knowledge, but for the sake of writing the exam. Okay. So I would say right from now, you start knowing things to gain knowledge. Put it here in your hard disk rather than when you need to reproduce on the paper, no doubt about it, get marks that will boost your confidence. But then not just that, make it a dual purpose thing. Okay. So yeah, history, geography, economics, and polity are 4 basic subjects for your general studies. And then you have science. Science is basically application science. Whatever you see around you is science. And then your current affairs. Current affairs, again, anything that is happening in the planet is current affairs. And beyond that, yeah, environmental awareness. That is gaining more importance these days. Environment, I mean, as such, the subject is having so many questions coming through in the general studies. So your general studies has 3 parts, and then pattern and all you can know when you come in. Prepare it actually after your graduation when you prepare, because every 3rd year, every 4th year, there is a change of pattern in the examination. Like when I started in 2009, we had optional for prelims also. Optional subject for prelims, we didn't have CSAT. 2010, okay, optional. 11, we had CSAT. 12, we had CSAT. And then now, when we wrote, like when I wrote 11 and 12, CSAT was not just a qualifying paper, it was computed for the total marks. From 13 onwards, it has become, only qualifying paper. So the pattern keeps changing then and there, like every 3rd year, every 4th year, it keeps changing. So that time during your actual preparation, you can think about what exactly is your pattern now. And so 3 general studies paper you have, and 1 paper which is gained importance in the last 3-4 years is ethics, integrity, aptitude. Okay. Nobody is going to teach you what is ethics, what is integrity, what is aptitude. It is all the way you've grown up, the way you conduct in the public, the way you would solve the problems, the way you go and face things outside, and how much you respect elders, how much you're aware of the social issues and all that. It is your basic ethics, what you're taught at school, what you're taught at home. And integrity again, it cannot be taught. It is to be nurtured. It should come along with your nurturing. And aptitude is basically, the questions will be like, you're a district collector or you're so-and-so officer. You have these 3 things happening before you. Which one you would prioritize? Or, in what order of priority you do things? Or which one you should immediately attend to? There would have been somebody who's ill or who's sick, who is coming and trying to see you. There is somewhere a fire accident or a disaster that you have to go and manage. There is somewhere, an official call that is also there. So which one you do actually prioritize? Seeing on that question, like how do you prioritize thing, or how do you immediately solve that 3-4 things around you, or you're given a very, your own subordinate is a very good working officer, but then there are few complaints against him. How do you, go about it and all that? It is basically testing your integrity, your ability to run an office, run a district and all that. And it will be very simple. You don't, have to panic about it. It will be very simple. So 2 language papers, 1 essay, and 3 GS papers, 6 plus 1, your ethics, integrity, aptitude. 7 papers over. 2 papers are 1 optional subject that you choose. And there are about, 25 subjects, if I'm not wrong right now, as optional subject. And whether my graduation and optional subject have a connection, not at all. My graduation was history. And during my period, we had 2 optionals. One of it was history, the other one was geography. And for the first 2 exams, I had second optional as public administration. Okay, you can choose sociology, you can choose anthropology, you can choose physics, maths, whatever subject you're comfortable with. There is no hard and fast rule that you should have chosen it somewhere in your school or somewhere in your college. No, just one of the optional, prepare it for that particular time and reproduce the answer which is asked to you through the question papers, 2 papers. And preparing optional again is an art, but it can be done if you're rightly guided. It is just knowing every topic in the syllabus. Your syllabus actually matters. Normally, we tend to ignore what is syllabus. Only teachers pay attention in the school about syllabus. We are very happy about what is being taught, and we will be sticking to the textbook. There will be one page called syllabus, which we will not see at all. The students actually ignore the page, syllabus page at all. Only teachers and principal will be more, sticking to the syllabus and all. Our children, for that matter, during that age, okay, that is the time that you tend to ignore. Also, you're not more particular about syllabus. You're more particular about lesson 1, lesson 2, chapter 1, chapter 2. Only that. Syllabus is actually your guide. Syllabus is where you know what is going to be asked about. So in optionals, every topic in the syllabus, like your chapter 1, if it is having like 20 -20 topics, all 20 topics you should know at least 2 pages to be written about it. That much is enough. So it's about preparing syllabus, preparing the answers for the syllabus, topic, and reproducing it in the right way. Answer writing itself is a skill, and you need at least minimum of a 6 months practice for writing answers. That I will tell you when you people actually seriously start preparing after your graduation. After your mains, when you qualify the mains, I have told you there will be much of a filtering, like from 2.5 3 lakh people writing prelims. About 30,000 people will write mains, and then from that 30,000 people, about 3,000 people will be going for the personality test. What exactly is the personality test? I would call it nothing but honesty. You don't know. Yes, you don't know. Don't try to beat around the bush. Don't try to bluff there. Be very honest. No, I don't remember, or no, I don't know. I have not read about it. Will fetch you more marks. Will give you more, an impression as being honest than trying to bluff something and get caught at the right moment. Okay, because people sitting there in the personality test are not just some teachers or some coaching center people. Nothing of that sort. Most of them would be educationalists of experience of 30-40 years, civil servants of education of 30-40 years, and so many people, like they would be your beyond your father's age, or sometimes even at your grandfather's age. They would know so much, and we would be somewhere in your early 20s or late 20s trying to beat around the bush, or trying to create an image that things would definitely be disastrous. Being honest is more important. Being smart is also more important there. What smart? Don't give them more room for questions. Steer the interview in the way you want. You give answers with a clue for them to ask the next question from the answer that you are giving. And don't allow them to distract. But that is an art that will come. That once you clear mains, once you read things, you get to hear so many people, you get to see so many people, so many friends around. And I'll tell you, this exam is the biggest exam of rumors. It is filled with this much of rumors and only this much of truth. So don't, it is not about being from IIT is a qualification, or being from, a big software company is a qualification. People from software, they come, they leave it, and they come here. People who have been toppers in IIT, they leave it, they come here. People who have worked abroad in a big company, like next to, the top bosses level also, they leave and come. Okay. Because civil service, that gives you a high. People who are there would actually know it. Gives you, a lot of kick, helping people and all that. And so after your mains, your personality test, you will be called to Delhi. You will be going inside that, managing that nervousness is also matter. Because inside the UPSC building, nobody's allowed. Nobody's allowed inside the gate also. You will have to have the entry hall ticket. And till the time you reach the board, your slot, your time slot, you're not knowing which board you will face. And there will be a lot of rumors. During my time, the board I faced, people said that man is the most stingy man when he gives marks. Okay, with due respects to that man, the professor, and he was known to be very stingy in giving marks. but I got the maximum mark in that year. Okay, because, not to boast, the way you steer the interview matters. And the previous 3 people before me who went came out of the room within like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. My interview went on for 47 minutes. 47 minutes. I was able to manage 5 people around with, managing through all their questions. I did not know answer for 2-3 questions, but I honestly accepted right now. It is not coming through. I've read it somewhere, but I don't remember it, sir. I will get to remember. I will get to learn. I will learn it as soon as possible. The moment I get over, come out of this room, I will read it. I will know it. Showing your, flexibility to go out and learn that you don't know is more important. Okay. It is not that everything, but when you go out and you say, I am ready to learn, that impression personality test. So after your personality test, they take about 2 months for the result, and the result day will be again a big time, either a disaster or a very positive day. And I would say, if you have put in so much of hard work, the day you see your roll number on the list, you will not laugh, you will cry. You will definitely cry. I remember calling my mother and started crying. My mother said, simple, typical, our Tamil mother. Uduma, ipa indha tharav pona enna, aduthaan nee already DSP aache. It's okay, we have a job. I still kept crying. Then solranla, onnum prachana illa, indha tharav pass pannalana kuda, next time we'll be able to clear. I said, no, Amma, I've actually cleared. That is why I'm crying. And nobody was able to, I wasn't able to take all that together. That day will be, that day is important. Remember that day and start working for it. Now, remember that day, how you will celebrate, how you will be able to, take all that, happiness of, clearing the exam. Your future is set here in your 22, 23 years, 24 years. Your future is set. You're going to retire as somebody very big, and your parents are going to be happy. And it is not about you being civil servant, but at least 100 people around you will be benefited. Your extended family, it is not being, partial or nepotism and all, but then helping them with the right use of power, without misusing power, helping people around, getting them a school admission, getting them a job for their qualification, or helping people around to study, and making your own relatives study and get them crack the civil services. Now see, I'm talking to about 100 people. One of the civil services will be giving me a satisfaction. Okay, somebody through me was able to get the orientation, and they started getting the inspiration and cleared and all that. So that gives a great high and all that. And that much is what I wanted to tell about the exam system as such. And in the college, like whether I'll have to choose a professional, this thing, I wanted to become a doctor. Now I have made up my mind for civil services, or I wanted to become an engineer. Now I have made up my mind for civil services. And a few people will be apprehensive about clearing the exam. What if I don't clear? Okay, even I had that problem, because I did my BA history against all the odds at home, because people didn't want me to just choose an arts subject. But then I did. The moment I cleared BA, and my parents are telling, what if you don't clear UPSC? I said, if not UPSC, Group 1, if not Group 1, Group 2, the TNPSC, Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission, if not Group 2, at least a Group 3, a Group 4, a VAO, a clerk, something I will clear. That much I have confidence about. Second, if at all, in the final thing, the government thing is not written in my fate, then I will do my higher studies in history, become a teacher. That much is what I told. But not everybody will be that confident about clearing. If you are really hell-bent to choose a professional course, go ahead and choose, but then keep this on one side. Only thing is, maybe you might lose your focus. If you're riding in 2 horses at a time, you might lose your focus. But then, if you really, we have so many doctors who are civil servants, so many doctors. We have so many MBBS, so many Siddha, so many Ayurveda doctors. We have so many IITians as civil servants. Yesterday you would know this Karur collector, my batchmate. He's a doctor by profession. He's a topper in UPSC also, and he'd been to the first day of his tenure as collector in that particular district. He's visiting the corona ward. He's going and seeing the medically, people who need medical attention. He's going to the villages where the COVID attention is less or COVID awareness is less and all that. So being a doctor or being a professional also gives you an advantage, but then don't lose focus. If you're very sure about choosing civil service, you go ahead, choose the subject of your choice. Or if you're very apprehensive about your future, choose something, some graduation, some post-graduation that will give you an alternative, assurance of your future, and then start preparing for civil services. So this much is all about civil services. About me, madam had told, the one who was roaming around was my husband, and the kid in his hand was my son. And thankfully, they have not disturbed me. They have gone inside. I think I've taken about 40 minutes of your time. Okay. Now I would like to answer questions from the children.
Students, any questions you have, please do ask. I know a couple of students, when we were interviewing you for the 11th standard admission, you were talking about civil services, and here you have somebody who has cracked it and sitting before you. So you have already heard from the horse's mouth. So it's for you to utilize this opportunity.
Just ask anything. Don't don't be afraid of asking questions. Don't think my question is very basic or it's a very immature question and all. You don't have to bother. I'm just like one among you, and I am like 33, so not much aged. Also, I can understand people better. Like you can ask questions. You can ask as much questions as possible, and you can ask me anything with regard to civil services or anything about about things that I have not told you about civil service.
Probably. Good morning, Rajashila. Thank you so much. Like left without words to express. I feel that probably I should have been a student now.
Great words, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Here is one question. You were, during our earlier interaction, you were mentioning about how much of hard work from your end went into preparation. Probably, I feel that that would help the children understand. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes, very important. So yes, I told you people, I remember telling you people that hard work is more important, dedication, sincerity is more important. 1.5 to 2 years of dedication and sincerity would actually give you better results, faster results. In 1.5 to 2 years, how do I study? It's not about studying for the public exam. It is much more than that. So how did I study? Like, I'm not one of the toppers. I would not say, I have studied for this. But I would say exactly how much of it. Had I been more brilliant, I would have taken much lesser hours. But then I've seen my people around, friends around also reading about the same amount of time. During my preparation, I was in Delhi. But by the time Chennai, we had 1 or 2 coaching centers, good ones. But then I preferred going to Delhi because maybe my parents were also able to afford it. I went to Delhi. I prepared in like 3 coaching centers, and one of which I taught also. So how much time it took? I am actually a nocturnal person. So I used to mostly read at night because I like the silence around to read. So till morning 4 o'clock I used to read. I'll tell you the entire schedule. So morning 4 o'clock I sleep. I sleep till 8 o'clock, 8:15. I get up. I'll take that 45 minutes time for my getting freshened up or having your morning tea or morning breakfast or whatever. 9 o'clock I finish my work. 1 phone call to home. Everything is over. 9 o'clock I come and sit back. Normally, when you sit at the home, especially the biggest mistake that we do, you sit on the bed and start reading. Little by little, you start lying down and then sleep. So that mistake I don't do. I prefer somewhere like this. So we had so many parks around. I mean, Delhi is known for so many parks. Every street will have a park. So I'll take my books, go to the park bench, sit there till 1 o'clock. 1:30. 1:30 again, I'll come back. We had this dabbawalas coming with the lunch, you know. So 1:30 or 1:45, we get our lunch. And after lunch, I speak to like whomsoever I have to speak on phone, like friends, relatives, and all that for half an hour after my lunch. And then I keep walking also because you sit idle the entire day. You sit idle, I mean, sit around and read. So you tend to put on weight, and some physical changes also will be there. You tend to put on weight, and due to a lot of night sleeping, I mean night sleep deprivation, you have this black circles and then all that. So I walk while I speak, and then by 3 o'clock I'll lie down. Whatever happens, 3 o'clock I'll sleep, and by between the 3 to 4, if somebody disturbs, that's all, they are finished. 4 o'clock I get up, have my tea, I sit back for study till 9 o'clock in the night. After 9 o'clock, I get up, half an hour break for dinner, and again, these phone calls and all this distraction. 9:30, we sit back. 1 o'clock in the night, I get up, again have a tea. 4 o'clock, again, till 4 o'clock I read, and 4 o'clock I'll sleep. So the entire day, 6 to 7 hours for your sleeping, which is important. And then again, another 2 hours or 3 hours for your lunch, you're getting ready, you're taking bath, you're washing, your clothes or whatever personal work you have, 3 hours. Left about the 10 hours, rest of the 14 hours, you have to study. You have to spend your time with books. Nothing else, nothing else. But then, is it like, I'll have to take this money, I mean, so much of pain? It's not actually pain if you like it, one. Second, your inspiration matters. Or like how much you're inspired about clearing this exam also matters too. Third, 1 year or 1.5 years putting in this much of hard work will actually give you the basics, I mean, get you the basics right. And your third attempt or fourth attempt, if at all, like me, you're unfortunate to go to the third attempt or the fourth attempt, then you would have already done the basic work, you just have to revise. So that time you can use, I mean, lesser time for revising your exams. But the first 1 or 2 years, you will have to read for at least 14 hours. If you're really blessed a child, brainy enough to, grasp things in lesser time, okay. Why it takes time? See, you are not going to read just one book or 7, 8 subjects, not that. You, for one subject itself, you will be referring to 3 books. You will be putting everything that you read inside your head. Your head also needs some rest. The storage is not that big. Though the storage is big, the recalling capacity is not that big. Just as, we say in the school and all, you read 5, you remember 4, you write only 3, you get only, 2 right, and only 1 will actually fetch you mark. Here what happens? 100% you read, only 40% you will be able to recall. So what? Only revision is the key. You read a book, for example, my polity book, I would have underlined. By underlining, the moment you underline, the page tends to, a little lift up. The space gets a little up, it comes up. So this much big book became this big because of, continuous underlining, continuous, reading, referring things. It tends to get bent and, it lifts over. So that much of revision and the polity and all, you should have revised at least 10 times before you go for exam. At least 10 times. The same book. That will be the most boring thing because you would have read the same book for 2 months. Again, you read the same book for 1 month. Again, you revise the same book for 15 days. Again, you revise the same book within 7 days. Whatever you read for about 2 months, you will have to be able to revise it within 7 days. 7 days, 70 chapters. Think of the speed of revision you need. Only if you have done the 2 months right, this will be better. So you should have at least revised it 4 or 5 times, not just polity, all the subjects for that matter. You should have revised at least 4 or 5 times. There are a few things apart from the book that you will have to do that I will tell you in the end. I mean, it will take 2, 3 attempts minimum. It is not that, everybody will crack in the first attempt. No. Luck also matters, but luck is just, a pinch of it only. Your hard work, sincerity, dedication only matters. Okay, that is the second. And then, first, I would say, immediately don't go and give an attempt. People would say giving an attempt is an experience. But then the attempts have come down and your age also matters. And depending on the community class that you fall in, the number of attempts are less. Like if you're in a general category, till the time we wrote, it's only 4 attempts. If you're in the OBC category, it is 7 attempts. And if you're the other category, up to the age of 35, how many ever attempts you are able to write. There is something called, human psychology also, you don't tend to write more than 3-4 times. There are people, veterans also, writing for 7 times, 8 times, clearing on their 7th attempt. We have people who have cleared on their 7th attempt. It's like, or both Mari. You don't leave it. Why should I leave? Vikram Adityan Vedala Mari, you just tend to cling over it. That is also there. But then, 2 to 3 attempts minimum. So don't waste your attempt by just going and giving it, blind experience. No, nothing of that sort. There is no writing, no attempting the exam without preparation. Simple as that. Unless until you are equipped for the war, what's the point in pulling the sword and going there? You get hurt. Okay. So don't keep unnecessary expectations. Prepare for 1 to 1.5 years before you give your first attempt. Simple. Before you give your first attempt, minimum of 1 year, you should have prepared. 1 to 1.5 years is required, much required. After 1.5 years, give your first attempt. That is where you actually get the first experience. That is where you will actually know in the entire 1.5 years, how much I have wasted, how much I have not read. It's not about knowing how much I have read. It is about how much I have not read, how much I am not knowing. Because in +2, the class toppers get how much? Like about 99%, 98%. In UPSC, the toppers get 50%. 50 to 55% is the top mark, first rank mark. Okay. So my husband is WhatsApping me, telling, don't panic them, don't give too much of instructions. They'll actually not be able to apprehend it. Okay. So yeah, so 50 to 55% mark only. That means you read 100, how much you reproduce sentence, how much you write, how much is mark worthy, and how much you get in the evaluation is. So you need 1 to 1.5 years of preparation for sure. Somebody has asked me, Srivatsa, how much money to go for civil service? How many years did did you take for civil service preparation? That much is what I understand from the question. Yes, money doesn't matter. Actually, you can prepare from home. You can make use of some coaching centers. There are coaching centers who coach you for free. There are coaching centers who charge you minimal. It's like, eating in a roadside shop or eating in a 5-star hotel. It's depending upon what you're actually preferring. But then, do you see that much difference between a 5-star hotel and a roadside shop? No. See, coaching centers can help you only 20 to 30% by just streamlining what exactly you will have to read. And then ultimately, who have to read? It's only we. We will have to read. They will just say, this is here. Okay. Treasure is here. Okay. Hunting for it is our work. And how soon you go or how late you go depends on what is your dedication, what is your sincerity, what is your hard work. How many years did you do civil services? Okay, I passed out of the college in 2008, BA. MA I did later. And 2008, I did this stupidity because I am advising because I did all that mistake. I gave my first attempt within 2 months of my preparation, which was the biggest mistake I did in my life. And then 2009, 10, what happened? Somebody told me the first coaching center, following the blueprints of the previous 20-25 years, they said economics, they won't ask you a question at all. There will be out of 150 questions, economics only 7-8 questions. You don't bother about it. You can just chuck reading economics. You read everything else. I read everything else very sincerely. Went to the prelims. Very first paper in prelims. Only 100 questions. First hit was, instead of 150 questions, there were only 100 questions. Out of 100 questions, about 40 questions were economics. Gone. 1 full year of sincerity, dedication, mistakes that you do. Don't skip anything. Read anything that is thrown to you. Read small bit of newspaper, read. More you read, more you know. And then third attempt, I wrote very sincerely. I wrote really well. I lost the chance by 2 marks, just 2 marks, which I got to know later. My qualifying marks for mains was some just 2 marks lesser than the qualifying marks was mine. And the 4th attempt, I cleared it. Okay. But for ironically, the moment I kept reading for like the entire 3 years sitting at home, I didn't clear. I went for my training in my first job, and I got only 23 days leave for preparing for mains, and I cleared that year. Only 23 days. So what does that mean? 3 years of your basics, you were able to recall and revise within that 23 days. That's more important. But then my people in my first job really cooperated. My bosses really cooperated, gave me a lot of leave for my personality test, my interview preparation and all. But then for mains, I'm talking about, I had only 23 days leave, and I was able to clear. So money is not a matter, beta. Money is about how much what you choose, how you choose to study and all. You be at home and prepare, still it's good. Okay, books wise, maybe you would be spending about 20,000-30,000 in books. And if you have to really go to a normal standard coaching center in Chennai, maybe your monthly expenses would be about 10,000 rupees, because you will have to stay somewhere in a PG or in a paying guest or in a hostel, and your food and your traveling would take that 10,000 rupees. Thankfully, if you are at Chennai, if you are ready to travel, you don't have a problem of food and accommodation, then only the coaching center fees. These days, no, I'm not doing any marketing, but being very realistic, about 1.5 lakhs to 2 lakhs for the entire 1 year's coaching stuff, 11 months of coaching. But then there are centers who charge less. There are centers who charge even more. Okay, it's not about money. It's not about how many years. It's about how good you are in preparation, how sooner you are able to crack. That only matters.
So we have any other questions for Rajashri? I think she has covered everything. She's covered everything even before any question could.
I have 2-3 things alone, ma'am. I will tell later, a little later.
Please do.
If somebody has a question, I'll take it. How to handle
question?
Who is your inspiration and who is a role model for you?
For me, ma'am.
Yeah.
I didn't get your question.
Who is your inspiration and who is your role model?
Inspirations are many. Like we see good civil servants, do we read during our times. But the actual, inspiration is my family situation. In spite of my father being a government servant, we were very poor, very, very poor. We had to basically earn for things to get even basic minimal, requirements for a student of, 9th, 10th and all. For my first coaching fees, my father had to borrow it from somebody and pay it. So the poverty, the situation, all matters actually. It's not that one particular person is an inspiration. Maybe I would say there are a few collectors, few police officers who have given us, gifts when we were students, like, school general proficiency and all that. Annual days, schools tends to call civil servants for, giving them these gifts, the prizes, So seeing them, you get inspired, one. Second, my father himself was a policeman. So I used to go with him to the office. So I see, officers being saluted at, we have officers coming in nice teak uniform, and, so many people on the way you walk, only people, all through the walkway, people would salute you and all that. As a small kid, when you see, you get inspired. So, you want to become an officer like that, to be respected by people, and all that. And a few more, maybe, Matram. I mean, a few more people who have insulted, where I said, like, I will give it back. I will give it back, not as a vengeance, but the way I live, the place I reach, people would know what they spoke is bad, what they judged about me, what they thought about me is bad. They will have to regret their stand on what I am. So that way I wanted to give it back. So that is, I think I have given back to most of them. Like, there were even my own relatives, they said, kadalla poi ayram in pudikira madri, pass in civil services. That I'll do. The day I cleared, the same person came and told, Mera beta, like she's my daughter, my own. She's like my own daughter only. She's cleared, and he was boasting around. I said, finally, I have caught Iramin from the sea. He really felt bad. You should have seen his face. Okay, that way, you give back to people who actually judge you a little lesser than what you are actually worth. So that is there. Handling gadget distraction. Okay. Nothing actually, it's our own dedication, our own sincerity about sitting with the books. And gadget, if you have to really use, no games. Instead, you restrict your time you use the gadgets, one. Second, Google a lot. Do a reverse engineering. When you read some news, go Google it, check the reliable page, and then do the reverse engineering. Try, knowing more about things. Supposing you read about a writer who had won Padma Shri this year. What is Padma Shri? How many people have won Padma Shri from the state? What is this writer about? Where is this writer? What he had written before? Much about the writer, much about the award, much about more awards of that sort, like not just Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan. What is Bharat Ratna? Why are these called civilian awards? What is the actually non-civilian awards? Like your knowing by reverse engineering. Just one line is enough. You can get to learn more about it. And then is Hindi important? Not really. Even English is not really important. You just have to know to convey what you think in one language, one official language, or one language of this country in which civil service is being held. Even if you're reading entirely in Tamil, writing entirely in Tamil, during your personality test, you will have an interpreter who will hear the question from that interview board and then tell you in Tamil, and then you will have to answer in Tamil. This interpreter again will convey the answer in the language of their choice. So even Tamil is fine. But then knowing Hindi gives you an advantage. Knowing any language gives you an advantage, not just Hindi. Knowing any language gives you an advantage. I knew to read and write Hindi when I was in school itself. We had third language. We had Padmavati madam teaching Hindi, if I'm not wrong, M. Padmavati madam. And we used to write this Prapnik, Madhyama and all that Hindi Prachar Sabha exams also. But then you don't really learn to converse in Hindi when you write. Learning to converse will happen only if you don't have people who can converse in any other language that you know. If you are roaming around with Tamil lot, you continue to speak in Tamil. If you roam around with lot which can understand English, you will continue to speak in English. You don't speak in the language that you want to learn. Go around with people who don't know your language. Try and learn that language because it is a necessity that you will have to convey something. They'll have to convey something by hearing. 1 month is enough for learning a language properly. So knowing Hindi is not really indispensable, but then it gives you an advantage to read any language, to learn any language for that matter. Any more questions, ma'am?
We are almost 10:40 now. Yes. So I would...
yeah, two more things I wanted to tell, ma'am.
Rajashila wants to share, and as she shares, I want our EVP to do the concluding remarks. Rajashila, please, Rajashila.
So reading newspaper is very important, people. So every day read one English and one Tamil newspaper. Don't get into the local news much. A chain snatching or a murder is not important. Read global news, read sports news, read news of national importance. Reading newspaper is more important. Sitting with your atlas is more important. You tend to use your atlas only for 2 or 3 exams in your school. That is all. But then every map has so many intricate details and it has a specific pattern. And India especially is a very blessed country where you have climatic conditions of all sorts, geographical features of all sorts. You have right from cold mountains to dry lands, barren lands, plateau and everything. So sitting with your atlas for 15 minutes daily is very important. At least 15 minutes.
We can start the video also. It's okay.
At least 15 minutes is more important. see every map. Take one map a day. Know where annual rainfall is more. Know soil, where what kind of soil is where and all that. So sitting with your atlas for at least 15 minutes is important. Reading newspaper every day is important. And some aptitude related questions. When you start 50 questions a day, 50 questions a day for a month would be do about 1,500 questions. In a year, you would be completing about, about 18,000 to 20,000 questions. Nobody is as equipped as you. Nobody is as equipped as you. So cracking aptitude is not a big deal at all. You just have to do 50 questions per day, which will give you actually the speed of reading questions and clearing it also. That only when you do your final preparation. This basics building and enrich your vocabulary. I've already told when I came to the school also, at least 5 new words per day. Your entire life till the time you would all be about 15 years old. In the entire 15 years, you would have learned about, you know about 2,000 words in English. 5 new words a day, or 2-3 new words a day for that matter. 5 new words a day. You learn 150 new words a month, and about 2,000 words in a year. The entire 15 years, whatever you built, you add one full chunk to the entire vocabulary that you have gained in that 15 years, in just 1 year. So that vocabulary will help you in writing answers, understanding questions. That is more important. So enrich your English. Though English is not much important, it is not pertinent, but English, if you're going to write in English, enriching your vocabulary is important. Read newspapers. No general knowledge is going to help you then reading newspapers. One civil services magazine you can prefer, subscribe and start reading now, so that if you miss any newspaper item also, it gets covered there. So that much is enough. Like right now, as 11th and 12th students, you can concentrate in your school studies and then read newspapers every day over half an hour, and then half an hour for your vocabulary and your atlas. That much you can do. I think that much will help you also for the next 2 years if you do. It is much of an importance. That's all, ma'am.
Pratima, over to you.
Namaste, Rajashila. So I think this is the second occasion when I've heard you. Probably you may not know me because after you left school, I joined. I'm Mrs. Pratima Vishwanathan. I'm the Executive Vice Principal. And accidentally, I happen to be taking the subject that you have been telling the children that they need to know. Like I teach social sciences. So before I conclude, I just have one question from my side. Are students allowed to take up the exam in regional languages also?
Yes, ma'am, very much.
Okay. In case they take up the exam, the main as well as the prelim in regional languages, then in any way does it hamper the Viva that they take up? The Viva, I think, is only in English, isn't it?
Not at all, ma'am. Not at all, ma'am. UPSC is very clear. Your language abilities are different from your brain or knowledge that you have gained. You will just have to convey what you think, what you have to answer in a language that is understandable. That is in the, in our constitution, basically. Like if you are writing in Tamil, you can write entirely in Tamil. Just as I said, during your interview, you will have people who can interpret what you say and what they say, and then they will. This has nothing to do with the evaluation process. It is not a disadvantage at all. And there are people who have cleared entirely through regional languages, and there are senior chief secretary level officers also who have cleared entirely through Tamil. We have our own chief secretary as an example.
Okay. And secondly, shouldn't the children be reading the newspapers every day and keep themselves updated?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's what I said. They will have to read newspaper every day. Updating themselves, gaining some general knowledge will also. The process is always very good. It should be followed every day.
Yeah, Pratima, I think there was some problem with your network because all the questions that you had asked, Rajashila had already covered. She is repeating herself once again. She had covered all these points.
Okay. Because in between, madam, the audio was getting hung over here.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, you can go ahead with your concluding remarks, Pratima.
Okay. So what happened is, though I could see her, in between there was a time when I couldn't hear her. That's why those 1 or 2 doubts which I had, I cleared. Now, children, for a conclusion, I would like to say that this has been a session with a difference. The first thing is that being a very young person, you were able to relate to her and she was able to speak at your level. So it was a very plain talk in very simple language, and every one of you would have understood. And many of you may be civil service aspirants, but maybe you had a lot of anxieties and fears or doubts in your minds. I'm very sure all that has got cleared today. And Rajashila is a very, affable person, accessible. So at any point of time, in case you are very serious about entering the civil services, I'm sure she would be of a great guidance to the Natatianites, definitely. And Rajashila, I would like to thank you very much. This is the second time that I've heard you speaking. And it's so nice to see that you come down to the level of children and you relate so well to them. And all of you, I think you had a very enlightening session. Thank you all for joining us. First, I must thank Principal Ma'am it has been a very great Saturday for all of us, a learning experience that this was organized. And I thank Rajashila because I know, your timings are not some kind of fixed timings, but still you have been able to very patiently explain everything and spend so much of time with the children. So definitely it means that you have us all in a lot of love and affection and esteem. So it was nice of you. I hope we are always in touch. And at any point of time, if any of us have any doubts, definitely you would be there to clear it for us. And students have picked up a lot from you today. And thank you, the hosts, the co-hosts, and every one of you who has made this very interesting program possible today.
Thank you, Pratima. Thank you, Rajashila. And we are going to request you once again, not when you had come here to our school a couple of years back as a chief guest for Independence Day. At that point in time, you were talking about safety, gender safety, children's safety, and girl children's safety. And a session with you and your husband regarding that would be really nice to have. So let's hope and pray that we plan one session like that very soon for our children as well, Rajashila. I know I'm a bit greedy in asking too many things from you, but when it comes to children, I want always the best to be given to them. So please bear with me. And
I'll be ready to help you anytime. Actually, now my husband has been transferred to Dharmaburi. Right now, I'm talking to you from Dharmaburi. He's just gotten transferred like last week. So we came here for settling the new house and all for him. I will continue to be in Chennai. It's like shuttling between both the places.
I know.
This is the first weekend we are trying to spend with him. So yeah. So I'll tell him also. Sometime we will find out time and we will.
Definitely. According to your convenience.
For our children, any day I'll be ready to help. Just the timing would matter, but we'll find the right time and talk to our children now. And I should.